Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about Justin Simmons and his thoughts on Vance Joseph returning to Mile High. Plus, we're going to look at PFF's top 25 under 25, see where they had Pat Surtain. And then Bleacher Report kind of put out a sleeper-ish prediction for some all-pro candidates, and we will see who they selected for the Broncos. But the nuts and bolts of today's show will be spent on Justin Simmons. So if you think Justin Simmons is criminally underrated, then like today's video, let's show 31 some support. I would say let's shoot for 310 likes, but we can do better than that. Let's get to 400 likes for Justin Simmons, who had 6 interceptions last season, despite spending 4 games on injured reserve. So let's show the captain of this team some love right now by liking today's video. Now, Justin Simmons is excited to be reunited with his old head coach, Vance Joseph, but now he is going to be the DC in Denver. So he recently did an interview with the Denver Post where he spoke about his excitement for Vance Joseph returning to the Broncos. Now, Vance Joseph is going to be looking at a whole new defense from the last time he was here. The only guy still remaining from the Vance Joseph era, Justin Simmons and Josie Jewell on the defensive side. So a lot of new pieces for Vance Joseph. You got to go back to 2018 from when he was last stomping around Mile High. And like I said, Justin Simmons coming off an all-time season last year, a career high in interceptions, 6. NFL leading, by the way, 6 interceptions, tied for the most despite only playing 12 games. If you played a full 17, that number 6 could easily be closer to 8 or a 9. Now, this is what Justin Simmons said on Vance Joseph returning. I love VJ. Love him. Obviously, it was unfortunate the way the stint turned out when he was here as the head coach. I've always loved him, especially as a person. He's player-driven. He'll do anything for the guys on the team. Right now, it's been cool for me seeing, I feel like, a different version of him. When you're the head coach, you've got so much more on your plate and you can't be around as much. I want to use this as a good reminder for fans, like you and me, to remember that there's more to evaluating players and coaches than just stats and wins, right? There is a human element in pro sports that we often lose sight of because all we look at is batting average or touchdowns, where for Vance Joseph, sure, the wins were not there. He was a leader of men and ultimately could not get the job done. And I don't disagree with the move to, fire Vance Joseph, but I can see why players are excited about Vance Joseph coming back to Denver because they don't just look at Vance Joseph as a guy who won X amount of games, right? They look at him as someone who's going to get them in the best position to be successful so that they can make money and provide for their families. So I'm not shocked that Justin Simmons is excited about Vance Joseph coming back. Plus, BJ's his new DC. What's he going to do? Badmouth his new defensive coordinator to the media? No, that, of course, was never going to happen anyway. But I do believe that Justin Simmons was being sincere and was being honest about being excited about Vance Joseph returning to Denver and what this defense can do. Now, we're going to look at some stats and whatnot, and we're going to explore this topic more. But first things first, I want to get your thoughts. Do you like Vance Joseph returning as the team's defensive coordinator? Yes or no? This is the pinned comment, so sometimes YouTube likes to put an ad break around this time period, and if they do, take advantage of it, scroll on down, and give me your thoughts in the pinned comment. Justin Simmons did not overlap too long with Vance Joseph, but when he did, he was a very impactful player. 7 interceptions, 13 pass breakups. The Boston College third-round pick was not an immediate starter. Was not an immediate full-time player. Didn't play all 16 games back then. But he was definitely a rising star, and it was obvious early on Denver had something good in Simmons. Now, Vance Joseph is not a one-hit wonder when it comes to getting all-pro safeties or getting Pro Bowl safeties. Look at what he did with Budda Baker. Another day 2 draft pick, so using a premium pick on a safety, but nevertheless, Budda Baker has been one of the league's best safeties with Vance Joseph as his defensive coordinator. 7 interceptions while Vance Joseph was his DC, 27 pass breakups, and a much larger sample size. Now, 6 picks, which is what Justin Simmons had last season, is hard to replicate, But then again, he got 6 picks in 12 games. So assuming he's back to his usual full, clean bill of health, can't quite rule out another 6-pick season for Justin Simmons. But I do believe whether it's 5 picks, whether it's 7 or 8 picks, Vance Joseph is going to get the best out of Justin Simmons. He clearly has a skill set for using safeties and not just having them be pedestrians in his defense, right? But having them be focal points and be leaders and be some of the best players on his defense. So no doubt that Vance Joseph is going to utilize one of his best players, right? One of the best bags in his, one of the best clubs in his bag, tools in his tool chest, if you will. And Justin Simmons will continue to look like the Pro Bowl and even all-pro safety talent that he is. Now, speaking of Justin Simmons, can we pick up 31 new subscribers in honor of Justin Simmons? If we can get more, that's all gravy. But I want to get 31 brand new subscribers in honor of Justin Simmons. Just flat out being a badass, right? Being an all-time Bronco. I hope he retires with this team. I hope he plays his entire career with this team. He's that talented. He's that special. And he's just a fan favorite. I love the way he plays. So if you agree with me, if you're riding with me, subscribe. And let's get 31 new subs for Justin Simmons. Now, it is no coincidence that while we talk about Justin Simmons, Bleacher Report also had a similar thought because they included Justin Simmons as an all-pro type sleeper, a player who could make the all-pro leap in 2023. This is what Bleacher Report said. In 3 out of 4 seasons under Joseph, the Arizona Cardinals ranked within the top 12 in pressure rate. He'll bring some of the blitz concepts to Mile High City and elevate a defensive unit that ranked 26th in pressure rate last year. As a result, Broncos defensive backs should have more opportunities to pounce on hurried or errant passes downfield. Simmons' ability to force turnovers will shine even brighter. And Bleacher Report, I think, is right on the money here, okay? Joseph loves to blitz the quarterback. Now, he doesn't have the same defense that he had in Arizona, but he's got some good pieces. And if Randy Gregory is healthy and Baron Browning doesn't go down in Week 5 last season like he did last season when he was kind of in the midst of really going on a breakout campaign, he's going to have some good pass rushers, and he's got some very good defensive backs, especially when you have Pat Surtain, but Justin Simmons and Caden Stearns, and you got a rookie like Riley Moss, second-year player like Damari Mathis. There are some good pieces on this Broncos secondary, and I would not be shocked to see a lot of these guys have career-level seasons if Vance Joseph can get this pass rush unit healthy and consistent for a full season. And that's a big if, and he can't control the health. But if that is the case, yeah, this secondary could flourish with Vance Joseph as their DC. Now, before we get to PFF's top 25 under 25, today's sponsor, BetUS. Make sure you go pay them a visit, chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Broncos125. When you do that, they're going to give you a 125% deposit bonus. So in English, if you put $100 in, they'll match that 100 and then give an additional $25. So if you want to go put some money down on any sport, whether it's Polish basketball or Turkish soccer, they've got you covered all year long. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Broncos125. Now, Justin Simmons, like we said, could he get that all-pro nod? Last season, just another awesome notch in the belt for Simmons in terms of putting up great numbers and kind of going under the radar a little bit. 7 pass breakups, 6 interceptions, and only 12 games played. I mean, the IR stint early in the year was, of course, a bummer, and in a run of a lot of injuries for Denver with Ronald Darby and Garrett Bowles and Javonte Williams. And, well, no one else needs to be reminded of the horrible injury bug Denver had last season. But 6 interceptions is hard to replicate. I mean, sometimes for defenses, turnovers can be just a bit lucky, right? I read a great article once with Aqib Talib saying that all of his interceptions were done in the days prior to the game, studying the quarterbacks, studying the wide receivers, looking for a tell. And maybe that's the case for a lot of players, but sometimes it's just about being at the right place at the right time and having the receiver drop the ball and it falls right into your hands. So over or under, I'm going to go with 4 interceptions. I'm not going to put it all the way at 6 because 6 is a big number to reach, but can he get 4 or more? Or do you think it's going to be closer to 1 through 3? Give me your thoughts down in the comments section. Pat Surtain. So, he was voted All-Pro in 2022 in just his second season, which means with PFF coming out with their top 25 under 25 list, he surely will be closer to 1 than 25. Now, through 2 seasons, the former Alabama Crimson Tide has 6 career interceptions, a pick 6 to go along with it, and teams learned their lesson. He was targeted 19 fewer times in 2022 compared to his rookie season in 2021. Now, here is PFF's top 25 under 25, 1 through 10. And let's break this down. Micah Parsons at 1, I don't have a beef with that. Micah Parsons is awesome. Whether he's 1, 2, or 3, you can't go wrong with any of those spots. Same goes for Justin Jefferson. He is, just a generational talent. Tristan Wirfs, it's hard to measure offensive linemen, but ask Tom Brady, he's going to say he's top 25, and he's closer to 1. He is an all-pro tackle. Jamar Chase, he is elite. And now we get a bit debatable. Sauce Gardner and Creed Humphrey coming ahead of Pat Surtain at 7. Now, Sauce Gardner is amazing. And you can really go either way when it comes to the debate of, would you rather have Gardner or Surtain? The answer is yes. They're both great cornerbacks. As for Creed Humphrey, it's hard to compare corners and centers and their impact on the game. Creed is definitely one of the best up-and-coming centers in the game. He's young, and he's already proven that he can hang with the best of them. I think Surtain's a better all-around football player, but we're talking about the difference from 6 to 7 right there. Now, Surtain, in his 2-year career, 118 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 24 pass breakups, and 6 interceptions. The no-fly zone at Mile High has been piloted by Pat Surtain the last 2 years, and he's just getting better and better, and he is still very young. He is an example for other corners, older corners, to look at and to learn from, and you're getting that in a 23, 24-year-old player. Now, here are the coverage stats between Pat Surtain and Sauce Gardner from this past season, because Sauce Gardner did come in at number 5, which is very impressive after just 1 season in the NFL. And there's a fair argument to make for both sides, right? Sauce Gardner gave up fewer yards, fewer touchdowns, better quarterback rating when he was targeted. But I still think Pat Surtain is right there with Sauce Gardner and every other elite cornerback in the NFL, because they are both elite generational corners that, in my opinion, are this decade's Darrelle Revis and Richard Sherman, right? They are both going to be 1A and 1B. So, no, I'm not going to come up here and say Pat Surtain is way better than Sauce Gardner, because that would just be a homer bias take, right? I think they are both incredibly talented corners, and the answer is yes. You really can't go wrong either way. They are both going to be Hall of Fame corners if they continue on the career path they are on early on in their careers. So I'm not going to get into a meaningless May NFL debate over would you rather have Surtain or Gardner? Doesn't matter. They're both going to be an island, and they're both going to shut down opposing wide receivers. One may give up an extra reception for 7 yards, but that's about it. They are that close to one another. Make sure to subscribe, by the way, if you enjoyed today's show. We appreciate you spending some time hanging out with us here at the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. We will sign off, and we'll catch up with everyone later.